What's up, everybody? We are accompanied by Kamran Zand with Luxury Estates International. He's a good friend of mine. He's a wildly successful real estate agent in the luxury space here in Las Vegas. I'm so excited to talk about how he got into the luxury space, the trials and tribulations that he's gone through to get to where he's at today, and just hear a little bit how his mind works. So stay tuned, have fun, listen closely because there's going to be a lot of really good nuggets. We're neighbors across the street and a few houses over. Beautiful one story. Probably one of the nicest single stories in our community.
Thanks,
Would you argue
man.
the same? I mean, what else?
No, it's probably. I mean, yeah, it's probably the nicest. I mean, yeah.
It's tits. It's dialed. I remember when you came to show when I came to see your house after the reno was done. The shit, which kind of goes into me having to relearn a new way to make money. Part of our conversation. You were rattling off like names of appliances and shit that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And I've been in, real estate and construction for so many years. And then my favorite part was I think you knocked on something. Do you have an appliance that knocks?
So Mila has like dishwashers and refrigerator where there's no handles and you just kind of tap it and then they'll open. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. No.
My bad.
Minimalist, man. That's just, it's just, dude, the last couple of days, I think we were up to like 1 a.m, like literally getting rid of and donating half of the toy. I mean, my house, when you've seen it, it looks nothing like the way it looks now. There's just toys everywhere. So like at one point you couldn't even see the floor.
Yeah.
So we feel good. We feel like if you ever watched Avengers and Thanos like snapped his fingers and like half the population was gone, like that's what we did in our house. Like
with
half
toys.
the toys were gone, half the stuff that we don't even use is gone. But yeah, man, I remember you wanted to come over. You wanted to, kind of learn a little bit about, what I was doing to the house that I just bought and I was, renovating. It was a brand new home. It was already done.
Yeah.
And I just, took it back down to like almost the studs and rebuilt it. But kind of goes into like, the passion. I admire like you and what you do, and I'm inspired by what you do because from what I see, you stay in your lane. Like you're not like, you're aware, your peripherals are looking, but like you're in your lane, you know what you're doing. And I feel like I'm like the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like I feel like the purpose of, life is like, for me at least, it's being in service to others, right? And if you can do that with something that you're passionate about and something you're good at, that's just alignment.
Absolutely.
Some people don't have that. Some people are passionate about something, but maybe they're not good at it and they're trying to be in service. So it just kind of, for me, and I think for you, like all three of those boxes are checked. Good at it, passionate about it. I'm in service, helping others. Boom.
Something in that, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking, okay, how does my flipping business of service? And maybe that's why I'm in this retail space, because I also believe in being of service to others. My mom has taught me that my whole life growing up. And I think what it does is it redirects that energy from all about me to others. And when you focus on others, that's where I think that sense of fulfillment comes from. And that's how you stay out of all that shit in your head and depression and sadness and victimhood. And it's because you're so inward focused. And I know that when I fall into that space, 'cause I'm still human, any of those feelings or emotions, I know the best way to get out is go and be of service to somebody. Go and teach people. Go and just be of service to whoever in any way, shape, or form. And all of a sudden, it takes that like little laser and like focuses it out, and it's not about me anymore. Yeah. And it kind of gives me a little relief. That's. But yes, I agree with you of being of service. But so to my flipping business, I'm like, how am I of service in the flipping space? And I was like, you know what? Something that I'm really passionate about, you might find this comical, is I am adamant about providing a pantry and either a peninsula or an island on every one of my flips, no matter the price point, because I don't think it's fair to whatever the price point is for this buyer that he is, because $300,000 house or $3 million house, that human being has worked for many years to save that down payment, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, and I don't think that guy should have to store his cereal boxes on top of his fridge.
Damn, I remember those days.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember in my apartment, I didn't have a pantry, so I had to use one of the upper cabinets in the top of my fridge. And I was like, that is so tacky.
Yeah.
And so for the extra, honestly, maybe $1,600 between the pantry and the peninsula, that is how I am of service to society in that space.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from my perspective, when I look at you, you're making, luxury accessible and affordable in various price points for people who may not have the time to try to do it themselves, may not have the skill set to try to do it themselves. They don't have that artistic, eye. You're kind of doing it for them. You're helping them feel better about themselves through their home.
Do you feel, I feel like my home contributes a big part to how I feel about me, my identity. And oftentimes you can argue, and I'm pretty much self-aware, like I know if I've attached myself to something that's artificial or that could be taken away, that's not necessarily a healthy thing. But the reality is that I am attached to that thing that can be taken away from me. And it brings me joy. So why would I operate any other way? But do you find a lot of accomplishment and happiness in the home that you own?
Yeah, no, for sure. Natalie,
I don't know the right way to word that. Maybe
Natalie
you could polish that up for me.
It's fulfilling for me, to come back and it's funny because Natalie, sometimes she thinks I'm like a psychopath, right? Because I'm always putting stuff away.
You're not.
I'm always cleaning.
You're not.
I'm always just tidying up. Oh, the kid just brought that out. Let me put the cars back and everything looks neat. It's actually soothing and fulfilling for me to put stuff and clean the house and organize it in a way because it's a representation of myself. Oh man, I was reading this, I think it was this article, and it has something to do with and I'm probably going to screw this up. Some people have already heard this story, but it's the owner of a restaurant, and, people keep moving the freaking salt shakers off the center of the table, and it's not his job to get mad at them. It's his job to just put them back, and he's showing them what fucking excellence is to him. And that's what it is. Like, okay, you're not going to do it the way that I want to do it, but I'm going to put it back every single time. I'm going to put it back in the center because that's me showing you guys what excellence is to me.
I love that.
That's kind of, I feel like, why I do, a lot of the things I do in terms of like being detail oriented or whatnot. But yeah, man, what I was going to say is fulfillment, changes, like what's true for you today could not be true for you maybe 10 years from now. Like you're flipping properties, you're helping people, feel good about themselves through their home. Maybe that's going to shift. For example, for me, it was, it still is, helping, people buy and sell in real estate in the luxury space is kind of what I'm good at. And that's what I do. And now it's like, oh man, I get to, give a few nuggets of advice to somebody, and literally it helps change the whole trajectory of, their career, just by, sharing some insight on, how I broke into the luxury market or what I'm doing to succeed. And I'm finding that's fulfilling for me at this point. Like right now, I'm actually building out a whole masterclass on everything related to luxury, like what the heck is luxury, breaking into it, the psychology, the dialogue, construction finishes, technology, architecture. And I feel like, within this masterclass, I'll be able to, give somebody that shot that they need to like freaking that Elon Musk shot. Like, okay, you took the shot. Now you know everything you need to know about luxury. And it's a start, right? There's still going to be a lot of work, but that's kind of fulfilling for me. That's what's true for me right now.
So let's back up just a little bit because we kind of just started organically talking and letting it flow. But let me back up with, so who are you?
Yeah.
And where are you at now? And then I'll ask some questions on how you got there. So just give me a little, tell me who you are, what you're up to now.
Yeah. So Kamran Zand. I started a company, Luxury Estates International, 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. 10 years ago.
Yesterday was, 10 years. It was in 2014. And yeah, man, I've been, at this almost 20 years in the real estate game. I started when I was like 18, 19, and I didn't start off selling luxury real estate. I started off selling whatever I could get my hands on, right? It was, me doing open houses and, just trying to make it work. And I got in the game in like 2006 when the market was like at the highest point, but it was just going, like I was at the top of the roller coaster and it was going down. So while I got in at the top of 2006, I didn't know any better. And all I knew was it was going down. And, it was tough. I was a landscaper before I was in real estate. I was shoveling rock, planting plants for my grandfather's landscaping company. And, I started that when I was like 15, 16. It started like high school summer gig. And then I ended up moving out here when I was 16 or 17. Actually, I was living in Barstow, California.
Wow.
And Barstow, California is like this little train station town on the way to LA from Vegas or vice versa. And things got so bad where, you know, in my upbringing, you know, Child Protection Services actually got involved and relocated me out of Barstow to my grandparents in Vegas. And that's how I started working with my my grandfather's landscaping company. But ended up like just crushing it in the landscaping business.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
Did you
took
apply
over
your
the company? Yeah, I was like running it. I went from shoveling rock to like signing up jobs and running the whole company. And then, you know, I had saved up like, I don't know, like $10,000, and I was like 18 or 19 at the time. And this is when everyone was buying a house. I was like, oh shit, you know, maybe I could buy a house. And I bought a house, and it was a $500,000 house.
Whoa, you fired hard, bro.
I had
What year was that?
Business buying that house.
What year?
It was like 06, 07.
Oh, peak market. Okay.
Peak market.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in
I thought you were in
Mountain's Edge,
2011 buying a 500. I was like, that's a big house.
KB home, Mountain's Edge. You know, it had no business. And, you know, there was bank statement loan. Do you make this money? Yeah, I just signed it. They told me my payment was like $3,000. And I'm like, okay, I can handle it. You know, let me just work harder. And I was so naive. I didn't know any better. But the agent, who was a family friend, had sold me that house. And dude, I saw how much she made by just walking me into a new home track. It was like 25 G's. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit. If she can do that, I can do that. And I don't have to work in the hot summer. I don't have to get dirty. I don't have to, you know, let me just go for it. And I ended up, you know, going to real estate school, getting my license, actually worked under her team. And I thought I was, you know, I passed my test. I was like, I thought I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. Yeah. And literally I was eating ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That house ended up foreclosing. And it was like, what the hell is happening? You know, it was like, it was traumatizing to not succeed, but it was even worse because I was almost embarrassed because, you know, my grandpa didn't want me to leave his landscaping company. And it's like, you know, for him to say like, I told you so, was like the worst thing. I was like, oh, this can't happen. I can't let this happen. It was like embarrassing for the family because it was like, it went from Cameron made it. He bought a house. He's doing all this stuff to like, you know, I'm 19 to like have this fall at this low point. You know, it's a lot to digest. And then my mom was, you know, staying with me, and, you know, she had, you know, some like schizophrenic. She had some chemical imbalances. So I was like kind of dealing with that, trying to, you know, make sure she was good. And the whole fucking world was falling down. You know, when, you know how they say it rains and pours. Anyway, so anyways, back to, you know, luxury real estate. So I'm selling real estate, right? And one day
So you're broke.
I'm broke.
Okay.
One day this trainer comes in the office at Prudential. This is before Berkshire Hathaway was Prudential. And he came to the meeting and they were talking about, you know, scripts. And then there's this like this summer like superstar retreat in Palm Springs, and, you know, how their agents make so much money by cold calling and door knocking. I'm like, oh shit. So I asked a few people in the office, I'm like, yeah, this is legit, man. You see Ferraris, you see Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces parked in front of this summit. And I'm like, what? And I just kind of like started looking into it. And I was like,
roughly
okay.
What year is this?
This is like 07.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot happened in like 06, 07. And I was like, all right, I'm all in. Let's do it. Let me freaking learn these scripts, learn this system. Let me make it happen. And there's me, and there's a couple other agents in the office. It's me, it's like Craig Tan. There was a guy named Gene Nicholas. There's like, you know, a handful of us in this little 10 by 10 room. Just, we didn't have auto dialers. We had 2 headsets, 2 phones, and our list. And we were just making calls, setting appointments. And, you know, we had some success, but what started happening is people were upside down in their homes. I was so good on the phones. I could set up 6 appointments in a day. But then at the end of the day, when I started looking up their values, I'm like, whoa, they were so upside down. Yeah. And it was a weird period of time. You know, people were getting part-time jobs. I didn't want to go back to landscaping. And, you know, there was an agent who was like crushing it in the REO game, the real estate owned game, bank owns. And, you know, some of us who were just grinding on the phones were like, shit, man, like, let's switch up stuff. Let's start like hitting cold calling these banks instead of cold calling for sale owners or expired listings. We were, it was like hitting the jackpot, like ching ching, the fucking water faucet went on. Like, I'm in my early 20s now, I'm making almost $1 million.
Hold on, you're gonna have to slow that one down. Yeah, so you start cold calling banks. At least give me one scenario where you called and they were like, here's 500 homes or whatever happened.
Dude, it was like that, man. They had, you call it, you know, you just reach out to a random department. Like at the time it was IAmJoshGalindo. I forgot what that even stands for now. American Home Mortgage something.
Right.
Servicing or whatever. Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And then there's like the little asset companies underneath them where the big banks would send to the asset companies. Yep. So you call those people and get listings. And they were just coming in so fast.
How,
man.
like what? Like 100 at a time? Or give me some numbers.
I mean, you know, every other day, 1, 2, 3, 4 listings.
No way.
Yeah. And I'm in my
dude,
early
you had to turn up.
Dude, I had to learn about hiring people, payroll, tax, like none of that even existed. When I was in landscaping, we pay people cash. I mean, it was like, I have to do what? Workman's what? Comp? What? This, that. So I was just learning as I went, man. And all of a sudden I went from, you know, just having a little cubicle to having like 3 or 4 offices. We were one of the largest teams at that office, let alone the state of Nevada. I mean, we were just crushing. I was calling friends from Barstow. Hey, come help me do these BPOs, broker price opinions, and let's go do these inspections and take these photos for the banks. And I was just putting people on, and we're selling a lot of property. I mean, I'm making $1 million in my early 20s. You know, things were great, dude. I'm like, whoa. You know, my family's like, oh, Cameron's killing it now. I had rental properties. I had a 4-plex. Like, I'm like doing well, and then I lost it all.
Did you lose it all again?
I lost it all again, man.
Wow. See, I think the reason but don't lose your train of thought. I'm just going to inject here for a moment. I thought going from 2000, but see, I feel like maybe you didn't quite fall all the way from 6 to 7. You kind of bounced and came back. Is that an accurate statement?
No, 6, I was like, okay, I got a couple sales.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
Then it went down, like, oh shit, like
brokey.
Yeah, like
okay, and then shot back up.
Then shot back
but
up.
Okay, so I went broke once. That was what I'm getting at, and you've been broke twice.
When I grew up so poor on welfare, food stamps, panhandling, all that. But that was before.
I have so much respect. I've you know what's funny is you've actually never told me that story. I've just heard about it, and I've always had respect for you in that space. So, the tremendous respect. I don't know if there's a better word for that, but losing it all, I think, is what has. When I lost it all, I became what people would refer to as a depression baby, like those people that die with like $3 million in their mattress and $100,000 house. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they don't trust the banks, they don't trust the real estate market, and I felt like we were recession babies. But so I was so frugal and so afraid to lose it again that one life shattering experience has taught me to like always make the right safe decision therefrom. So pick up where you were, but so that's why when I heard you say you went broke once, I was like, oh, he had that same experience, but you went broke twice. So hit me with
the banks stopped foreclosing on properties. You know, I think Obama was president at the time, and he was passing these laws.
AB 284.
Yeah, people would stay in their homes, and it was like a hard shutoff, and some stuff was trickling in. And when I was at my height, I had like, I don't know, 10 or 15 agents working for me, and they would get all the leads that would come in from the buyers and investors wanting to snatch these homes up. I'd feed them with all that. You know, it was real awkward, and it was painful because, again, I'm still in my early 20s, and I had to have these uncomfortable conversations because I had to let go one employee by one employee, and some of them were really close friends, and even some of the agents, they would just leave on their own, and they would have those talks with me, and it was painful. And then, I was in a relationship at the time, and that relationship kind of went out the door, and I thought I was just losing everything. I was just like so down. And one of my buddies, Kevin, I had to borrow $5,000 from him just to pay some bills, and he was kind of doing good because he was working with investors and stuff. And yeah, it was really tough, man. And I just remember like having to even borrow money from my family who, was in the landscaping business. And then how do you go from like just crushing it to like, borrowing money again? I had some rental properties that were really helping out because that was my passive income. And no one told me I had to pay taxes when I made all that money.
That's
so I had to sell off some of those properties just to, pay the taxes. And
this honest conversation will serve so many people. So I love it.
Dude. Yeah. I didn't know. I was like, holy shit. So, and I remember I was like, oh man, let me try to get a job at like that coaching company, that organization that like was really, put me on in the beginning. And I thought it was so good, and they didn't hire me. The main guy, the CEO, the owner of the company, I made it all the way up to him, and he's like, oh, well, we only hire people over 10 years. And even though I had way more production under my belt, I knew the scripts and skills better than he didn't do it. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because then I was
you would have been stuck in that
shit, man. I would have been stuck in that, that circle. And, I was alone. I was with my own thoughts. I was like, one day it was so bad. I was like, damn, man, like if I want to make I had to have a self-talk. If I want to make, the same income I was making, if I want to succeed at the highest level, if I want to really challenge myself, maybe I need to sell luxury real estate.
Such a wild thought.
A wild thought. And I don't come from luxury, you know, at all. I know nothing about it. The bank-owned properties I was selling were $40,000, $50,000.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, like nothing was luxury. So I was a little naive and I was like, okay, let's do it. And I was just failing, man. I was like trying to go back to the cold calling days and like call some of these big guys. And I was so embarrassed when like I did get one guy on the phone. He owns like, I remember he owns a billboard company and his name's all over every billboard.
Connell.
And he wouldn't remember me. I was just one random prospector. But like he was name dropping what he did to his house and telling me how much money he spent in his house, millions. And he was talking about technology and he was talking about construction and appliances. And like it was so over my head. I wanted to hang up on him. I was scared he was going to call me back. And he was gonna like I couldn't even talk his language.
Sure.
Like it was I was like, this is terrible. I'm embarrassed. I need to get off this phone. I don't want your listing. I can't take it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll let you know if I have buyers. And I just like after that I was like, whoa. That was one of many instances where I was just uncomfortable. And one day a series of things happened, but it got to the point where one day I said to myself, all right, Kamran, if I want to become this luxury real estate broker, like who do I need to become this luxury real estate agent? And once I decide who I need to become, then with that inner compass, what do I need to start doing differently? How do I need to show up? And let me start just changing habits and changing things. And then, you know, once you start doing things differently, and time will start rewarding you.
Absolutely.
Right? So
it's the fake it till you make it. People always say, "Oh, don't be fake." No, that's how you change.
It wasn't just fake. Yeah, it was a whole lot. So it's like,
well, it's not a comfortable space for you to make these conscious changes. So some people consider that fake, or I call it, no, I'm improving. I am actually changing, and it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in time, it'll become comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to decide who you want to become and who do I need to become this person. And now what do I need to start doing differently? And if you're doing what you need to be doing in the compass of being that new person, you will get the results over time. Simple as that. And for me to become that luxury real estate agent, I need to like retransform everything. Like first, let me take care of myself. Like I was like out of shape. You know, I was like, wasn't doing anything with my body. Let me get back in shape. Let me get my confidence up. Number two, let me learn about luxury. Like what's the technology? What's the construction? Who are the architect? Who are the main players? Who are the top brokers? Who's the freaking contractors? What's the finishes? You know, I went to tile yards to learn like the difference between quartz and granite and quartzite and what could be backlit and what couldn't. And then I learned about the different technology that things are going home, the different appliance companies, what makes them different. You know, and then I started going to every open house that I can find on the weekends in all the luxury neighborhoods, talking to the brokers. I would preview all the new developments. I would, you know, that was me learning about, you know, what luxury was. And then it was like, okay, how am I going to market this property? How are they marketing properties? What do the photographs look like? Man, Lamborghini's ads are so sick. Why do they look so sick compared to these other ads? It was a whole different take, you know, and okay, what's Tom Ford doing? How are they presenting their product? It was just like really deep diving into everything luxury. And then, you know, after time, you know, you start getting these opportunities. Here's how I got my first $1 million sale. One time I was I had a BMW at the time. This is when I made all that money from the REOs and I had paid cash. So like I didn't have a car payment and I get my car serviced and I made friends with one of the sales guy. His name was Mo. He's a, you know, older gentleman, kind of giving you a hard time type of person. And we'd always chop it up and he was always try to sell me a car and he didn't know I couldn't afford any of those cars. And, but I came off, I was always in a suit when I would get my car service. And one day he asked me, he's like, hey, Kamran, you know, how's the real estate market? And like, I just paused and I changed something. And I said, the luxury real estate market's great. And when I said that to him, I looked in his eyes, I can see him recalibrating how he was looking at me. He didn't look at me as like a real estate agent. He looked at me as a luxury real estate agent. And then you know, a few weeks later, he's like, hey, Kamran, I got a lead for you. This guy wants to buy, you know, a couple $1 million house, a $2 million house. And I was like, okay, yeah, send it over. That was my first sale. It turned out to be a $1.6 million sale in McDonald Highlands.
45 grand.
Yeah.
Back on the map.
Yeah, back on the map. Boom, here we go.
Hell yeah, man.
Dun,
I love it.
dun, dun, dun. And then, you know, but you know, I'm kind of going high level, but you know, I was at the Prudential at the time, and that environment wasn't conducive you know, to where I wanted to be. And then I ended up moving to a small boutique brokerage for about a year. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna open up my own shop. I wanted to open up something that complemented the business that I was going after, and to use as a tool to kind of get my foot into new circles. And, you know, 10 years later, here I am today.
That's beautiful.
You know, I've
man.
sold, you know, probably over $1 billion in real estate, hundreds and hundreds of transactions. I have 2 sales over $10 million. I have,
What's the highest sale?
my highest is 11,250. Although I have a $35 million listing in the Summit. I already showed it twice yesterday. I'm showing it 4 times Friday. That'll probably be the biggest sale in all of, you know,
Vegas.
Southern Nevada.
Yeah.
So
You have a $35 million listing right now. Fuck yeah, Cameron.
yeah,
That
it's
is
a
fucking
spectacular
awesome.
home. Yeah,
Louis,
yeah.
how great is that we're sitting next to a guy that's got a $35 million listing?
Dude,
Congratulations,
Thank
Cameron.
you, man. Thank you. It's
That
crazy.
is so cool.
Yeah, it's
Now, finish your thought, because you sound like
I was just saying.
I'm just excited and giddy around the $35 million
Bro,
listing.
I'm so, you know, I take time to reflect on, you know, kind of where I'm at, and like what I get to be exposed to and who I get to be exposed to, and the type of people that I'm representing are people known in the world.
Sure.
You know, like the top of the top people are in my cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, and I can just chop it up with them whenever I want. That was not, I didn't envision that in Barstow, California. I thought it was gonna be like a CPA or something. Honestly, if it wasn't for Child Protection Services getting me out of that city, I'd probably, like, you know, sell drugs or something. I don't know. The environment was just like really hard for me to like see any future. But dude, I'm just so grateful and so blessed. And, you know, again, I have a beautiful family, and yeah, dude, it's wild, man. So
Do you interpret the life you've created as you've created it?
I mean,
or do you believe in luck? Do you believe in?
I think there's 4 types of luck. You know, I don't know if you heard it. There's blind luck, who you're born to, where you're born, stuff that you have absolutely no control over. I think there's luck by uniqueness. Maybe you have some gifted talent, or you were born 8 feet tall or something like that. And then there's luck by awareness and luck by motion. And luck by awareness is basically you being so good at something, you're so knowledgeable, you're putting yourself in a position to receive luck. And luck by motion is just being out in the right places at the right time, and you're setting yourself up for more opportunities to be lucky. I don't think it's like, oh, you're lucky or you're not. It's like you have to do things to set yourself up to have luck, right?
There
like,
you go.
I play pickleball. You do too.
Yeah.
So does Lewis. We play all the time. And, you know, a recent sale that I did for $7.5 million, he's on my pickleball team. I did another deal for $1 million. He's on my pickleball team. And I'm not saying, you know, to go join pickleball to go get a bunch of sales.
No, you put yourself in a position
to get lucky, right? And it's not even that. Like, another agent can go play pickleball and be in that position, but there's a whole nother aspect to it. It's your personal brand. If agents aren't getting the business that they want to get, it's 2 things. Number 1, their personal brand is weak, or number 2, they're not talking to enough of the right people. And it could be vice versa. You can have the best personal brand. You have your Instagram is on lock. You're doing all these caption posts. You're doing it all, but you're not talking enough to the right people. That means, you know, you're not getting the business you want. You're not succeeding. Flip side of it is you are in the circles. You're talking to the right people daily, but they're not hiring you, because your personal brand is weak. They don't see you as someone who can, you know, help them sell luxury real estate. So again, if you want to succeed in the high-end space, upgrade. Some people need to do both. Some people need to level up their personal brand and talk to more of the right people. Yeah. But it's really a combination of those things. And your personal brand is not just your Instagram. It's like how you carry yourself. It's how you speak. Of course. It's the knowledge that you possess. It's how you conversate. It's everything. It's not Instagram or Facebook.
Everything.
It's everything.
From if your shoes are dirty in the morning to your Instagram.
Everything. Yeah. So I tell agents all the time, you know, let's look at your personal brand, and are you talking to enough of the right people? I see agents that are just doing video after video after video on Instagram, and they're not getting the success they want. They're not talking and making connection to enough of the right people. They're not putting themselves in that situation.
That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, Cameron, that's a clip that should go viral.
Honestly,
no, that's really high quality insight.
Yeah, I've been preaching that, man. It's like, okay, you're talking to enough, you know people that are in the circles. You know people who are in these country club communities. They don't get the business. Yep. Their personal brand is weak. Yeah. If they would have elevated their personal brand, they'd be the top dog in town. So
no, what you've kind of done is you've framed and properly articulated a little bit of how I operate. And so now I know how to communicate that a little bit better. Like I believe I'm an expert in my personal brand. Like I am fucking on point everywhere I can consciously know that I'm on point at, but I haven't been able to like frame it into a statement. And that's kind of what you just did there.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Go ahead and use it, man.
Yeah, I will. No, that was great. That was a good learning lesson for me.
Yeah, it's the truth, man. And I think about that myself. It's like, okay, if my goal is to sell 100 million a year in real estate, if I'm not hitting that, I think my personal brand is decent. I actually think it's exceptional.
It's exceptional.
I'm simply not talking enough to the right people.
Sure.
And at this point in my life, that's something I'm okay with,
Yeah. Now you can dictate it. That's what people ask me, like, how's the flipping business? And I go, it's like a throttle on a boat. If I want to go fast, I just push it forward. If I want to go easy, I just pull it back.
Like
I'm in complete control, dog.
Can I use that? You can use mine and I'll use yours. It's like, no, for what's fulfilling for me is spending time with my kids. Like, gosh, I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and like, I love hanging out with these kids, man. And that means I'm not hanging out at the charity event or the grand opening of some restaurant or this and that, but that's okay. Everybody has their seasons.
Yep. Yeah, because I've heard some cool stories about you. What was one of the coolest marketing techniques you implemented?
Oh man, so there's cool, then there's effective, but we
did
cool,
this, not effective, just
we
cool.
did a sick video. We're real estate agents aren't really using these videos with actresses and actors anymore, but I did something in Veer Towers that I thought was really cool, and it just showcased the lifestyle.
So I heard that you did something with a helicopter. Fill me in on what you did with a helicopter.
I needed to come up with something to, show the seller that I was going to do something different. And nobody was doing drones or helicopters or aerial shots. Like, it didn't exist, when I first was breaking into the luxury game. And we hired a helicopter pilot. There was no drones. There was no DJI drones or anything like that. And it was crazy. We had a separate pilot. He was licensed. He came up. He put his camera up. And we got, certain shots. But at that time, that was a big deal.
Yeah,
that was a big deal. There was another one when drones started coming to the market, where we listed a sick ass condo in Panorama Towers, and people, if you know about marketing, they still message at how the hell did you do that? We flew the helicopter over the I-15 freeway, through the unit, all the way through the unit to the back end of the unit in one take. It was just like straight through it. And like, now you can do that easily. There's small little mini drones, but
that are easily controlled.
At that time, and it was a little windy, like, for us to pull that off, we were like, yeah, we did it. And no, the owner loved it, and everybody appreciated it. I felt like I was always kind of like challenging the status quo in terms of how things were marketing. And now there's, agents have all stepped their games up. Yep. And it's a beautiful thing. Everyone's, figuring out the best ways to present property, market property. And yeah, no, it's good. It's fun to compete in this marketplace.
Where I had kind of a realization hearing another influential guy talk is everybody was like, Dan Bilzerian, big poker guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why don't you play poker anymore, bro? And he's like, dude, the reality is everybody's so good. When I was in it, I was really good, and the competition wasn't that intense. Now these guys are learning how to play poker at 8, and they're going all the way up until they're able to go and actually play. These guys are like experts, so it's just beyond my time.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that, I said something very similar. And I think we have so many things that our journeys are very similar. Is I felt that when I got into the flipping game, I could not believe what some of the investors were getting away with. Like they weren't putting carpet in the closets. When you would paint the cabinets, they wouldn't even open them. They would take the same white paint on the wall and just roll right into the cabinet. So in order to open the cabinet, 1, there was no cabinet pull. 2, you'd have to break the seal of the paint to get the cabinet open. Yeah. I just could not believe what they were getting away with, and they were selling. So when I got in the game, I was like, not just as, and I don't think this was for you, I'm going to just beat everybody else. It was an organic execution that I couldn't do it any other way. Dude. I would not be able to do it. I could not have flipped this home any other way. Even if somebody came to me and said, you'll make more money, I'd say, but I can't live with myself if I flip it like that.
That means you're passionate about what you do. That's exactly how I felt in the luxury game. I'm like, there's no effing way people are getting away with marketing properties like this. Like, are you serious? Putting lock boxes on multi-million-dollar houses.
You couldn't live with yourself doing that.
It was like cringing watching this happen. And now that's not the case. I mean, you see some agents that are still even taking photos with their phone, with their camera phone or whatever, but like it's not the norm like it used to be. And the same is true like what I'm seeing in the training space. Like if agents want to break into luxury, like they are not what the trainers are. First of all, many trainers don't really practice or sell or they teach like ideas and concepts, but they're not in it. And what they're getting away with and how they're presenting stuff, I'm like, oh my God, let me just freaking put a master class together and just give everybody something from A to Z so they can, you know, learn and succeed in the highest space. So that's exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm going to revert back a little bit. So now that you can look around now in the flipping space, and while I would like to say that, and I'll challenge anybody, I've said this many times publicly, I know I elevated the flipping game. Josh Galindo elevated the flipping game.
I believe that.
And but now everybody is just so good, and people are like, "Well, what's your next move, Josh?" I'm like, the reality is, it's just everybody's really good. Yeah. And to your statement you said earlier, I'm happy that that's the case.
Yeah.
Now end users are getting better product.
Yep.
You know, everybody's having to compete on a level playing field. When everybody was doing hodgepodgey shit, this guy could get away with, you know, murder, and this guy only had to go a sliver above murder and he could sell, you know. Now it's so premium. Yeah. Everybody's pretty much, it's leveled that playing field, because if you deliver a crappy product, you're going to be penalized for it.
Yeah.
Man, Kamran.
Crazy, huh?
Full of yeah, what a great story.
Yeah.
What do you like to do for fun?
Man,
I know you enjoy pickleball.
Well, you know, when I was down and out in real estate and I had to reinvent myself, you know, I was at my lowest point, I would go to LVAC on Flamingo. And at the time, I would drive by a ballroom dance studio. It was called Delgado Dance at the time. And I would just like look in the window and people were just kind of dancing. It's kind of right out of a movie, right? I think J-Lo did a movie like that. But I would just see people dance, and like I was like, man, I was just so down and out. And one day I just kind of went in there and signed up for, you know, an intro class, and they taught me salsa and they taught me, you know, merengue, and like salsa I really like. I ended up enrolling in that ballroom studio. I learned all the dances, foxtrot, tango, I mean, you name it. But salsa stuck out the most, and that was like the only dance that I can like go anywhere in the world and Google salsa club and go dance with random, you know, people that I've never met before, and it's like a sport in a sense. So and that's how I met Natalie, and we both danced professionally.
That's how you met Natalie.
Yeah, because her family owns, you know, they own one of the salsa dance studios here. And one year she came back from college, she was in Reno, and she laid eyes on me and she just fell in love and she didn't go back. I'm just kidding. She'll probably tell you a little different, but no, yeah. So, you know, I really don't dance as much anymore, but no, I enjoy, you know, working out, but playing pickleball even with you guys, you know.
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah. You know what I think special about dancing is it's one of those hidden things that I think really provides tremendous confidence that most people don't know why you have that confidence, because only you know you can dance. But a lot of people, man, like they don't have a clue how to dance. And when you do, like you're a special motherfucker.
Dude, and I didn't know how to do anything. It was like embarrassing for me to even go out. Now, like,
you get on that floor and go.
Yeah.
And like, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Like, so I wouldn't say I know how to dance. I would say that I can move and I'm fine. I can hold my own moving around
the whole time.
To hip hop. Yeah. I can only move to hip hop because I know what the next beat will be.
Yeah.
So I can anticipate when to move.
Yeah.
If I don't know the song, I'm horrible. But anyway, so one of the rules that I'll share with everybody about dancing is never judge others when they're dancing. Because you will take that same judgment and apply it to yourself and encapsulate yourself into this little bubble because of your own judgments. So when I see a guy over there flailing in his arms and looking a fool, I literally consciously say to myself, good for him. Yeah. He looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that way, when I go out there, I am not self-judging and I'm enjoying myself. But there's so much joy that comes from dancing.
Yeah.
Like I can dance for hours in the right environment, and I love it.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's a release. You know, I don't know which chemical, it's dopamine or serotonin or whatever, but like Just all that gets released to the brain when you're dancing and you're having a good time. Back on real estate, I just want to also, I get asked this question a lot, and if anyone's in the real estate space, they might see value. So people ask me all the time, hey, do I need to like come from luxury or live a luxurious lifestyle to be able to be successful in luxury real estate? What do you think the answer is?
And you're walking proof of it, but come from or living in the moment?
Live.
Then I would say yes.
I think, and here's why I'm going to say something that is a little different. Like, Stephen A. Smith is a really good sports analysis, sportscaster, but he doesn't play any of the sports. I feel like if you are passionate and extremely knowledgeable about luxury, all aspects of luxury, I think you can be successful. I mean, you still have to come up, upgrade your personal brand, but you don't need to have the Bentley or the Rolls Royce or, be a part of the country club to be success. You can be so knowledgeable about it. Remember, this is luck by awareness, that your clients will respect and know like, oh shit, this person knows their shit. They know how to sell this house because they know so much about it. They're actually more knowledgeable and articulated than the actual person who does sell luxury real estate. So I feel like if you study it and you know it and you breathe it, you can be very successful in it.
I think you make a really valid point there, because I arguably live in a complete space of luxury. All of my cars are luxury, my home's luxury, all of my goods are luxury, and frankly, I don't know shit about them. But the guy that may not own the Rollie, that knows more about how a Rollie works and where it came from and their origin and the year and where the value is based on the year and the design, that guy knows. That person. I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm over there wearing it.
I'm not gonna. You own it. I'm not gonna hire you to sell it. I'm gonna hire this guy because he's gonna be able to really sell it. And the beauty
you're 100% spot on there.
The beauty is they will have luxury over time. It's just the gradual.
The knowledge is the first
process.
thing you got to have.
Yeah.
Once you have the knowledge, the rest comes.
Yep.
That was me with the flipping space. I used to play this game at gatherings. People are like, oh, I just bought a house, and I was never in the retail space, so I wasn't like, oh, why didn't you use me? So I would be like, okay, give me just a few things. Where is it, roughly? Southern Highlands, Mountains Edge, Durango 215, whatever you want to call it. Okay. How many square feet was it? Is it 1-story or 2-story? And they would tell me all that, and I go, you paid $220. And they'd be like, oh my God, I paid $225. I go, the next guy. I knew values so well in the city just based on zip codes and locations, because, to buy one house, you got to comp 30. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, you're very, and I didn't own shit. I think I was still living in the house that I was short selling, not making the payments on.
That's funny, dude.
Beautiful conversation, Kamran. Yeah. I respect everything you've created. I think what a treat that our paths have crossed in the way that they have, beyond just, I know who you are in the real estate space. It's been fun to just watch you grow and
thanks, man.
And crush the game.
Same
and
with you, man.
$35 million listing. That's fucking spectacular.
I'm gonna sell it.
Hell yeah, you are. Hell yeah, you are. Yeah. So thanks for coming on.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, bro.